Exxon just posted record-breaking profits as Americans continue to get gouged at the gas pump. Wow. This story, I think we were doing it before it was a story. I think we were doing it before, before corporate media even thought it was an important issue. Why? Because Exxon advertises in corporate media. BP advertises in corporate media. We were doing this story when we started seeing the very edge of it, right? Corporate media held off as long as they could until it was inescapable. And these numbers are $18 billion in one quarter was the profit for Exxon. At last, Truth Out, who's social media, they had to cover the story. I still haven't seen it fully covered with corporate media. Have you?
No, absolutely not. And it's price gouging.
Yeah.
You can't make record profits during a time of record inflation if you're not artificially inflating your own prices. And that's what we see here. Exxon with $18 billion over 3 months. Chevron is 11.2. Shell almost $10 billion.
$10 billion.
It's crazy what these companies are pulling in. And this is all just further proof of what Bernie Sanders told us almost a year ago. Put a windfall profits tax in place.
Well, now we talked about that. We literally been talking about it even before Bernie talked about it. Yeah. It's an easy solution. The president has a right to do it. Now he's talking about it now.
Finally.
But it's too late. It's too late. I don't know how to put it. Look. They created a bill that was going to address the potential for the windfall tax. It fizzled. Congress isn't going to do it because they're getting so much money from the oil industry. The president held off doing it as long as he can. I'm not even sure he's still sold on the windfall tax. But that's the solution here. I mean, it kind of comes down to the fact that you've gotten zero cooperation from Congress, zero cooperation from the Senate. I think it was Manchin and about 3 others that made the bill fizzle away that was going to say we need to have some windfall tax punishment here, right?
Right, but here's the other thing too. On the other side, the bully pulpit side, Biden could be out there talking about these numbers every day, but instead, what did he do? He went to Saudi Arabia to beg them, please, we need more oil. And they laughed in his face and said, we're going to cut oil.
Made him look like an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, made him look like a damn child idiot.
So he has to point out this corruption. Okay. He has to talk about it publicly.
Farron, you and I have talked about this before, but the more money you put into the oil industry's hands, the more money you put into the pharmaceutical industry's hands, the more money you put into tech's hands, simply they use that for affluence, influence. They take they take Citizens United to the absolute max, spread out as much as they can. They buy gazillions of lobbyists. Their influence, watch what happens here. They're making so much money, it's going to take a decade to slow down the power that they're going to gain from all this money. $18 billion in one quarter. $10 billion in one quarter, $11 billion. That's what these companies are making.
Yep.
And all they're doing is saying, we kind of got you. It's kind of checkmate because we can buy the media, which they've already done. We can buy more lobbyists, which they've already done. It's just something that the president months ago should have said, damn it, you can't do that. And I'm going to show you why you can't, because you're going to get taxed big time. A human trafficking victim has been ordered to pay the family of a rapist that she killed $150,000 instead of getting an award and the Nobel Peace Prize. This young girl was trafficked at 15. She was held prisoner, virtually held prisoner. She had the opportunity to get away by killing this man. She was justified in doing it. Most states have what they call a safe harbor protection. She took a knife to him, stabbed him 30 times, made sure he was dead, and did what she had to do. She got out of there. Now, the point is, Iowa did not have a safe harbor. They didn't have a protection for that. First of all, if you take a look at a woman who's been sodomized, been raped repeatedly by the same time, has been sent to other people to be raped and sodomized, then at what point do you look at a child who has stabbed somebody 30 times and say, yeah, maybe I get this, maybe I understand the rage? These prosecutors who even brought this case, I promise you, are bottom rung prosecutors. If you look at their success rate as prosecutors, their conviction rate is probably really, really low. But here they had a woman A young girl, 15-year-old, stabbed him 30 times. They said, well, we're going to win this one.
And he had raped her repeatedly, at one point raped her at knife point.
Yep.
And again, this is a trafficking victim who had left her house as a runaway to escape an abusive family. And she ended up sleeping in the hallways of this apartment building where a kind man took her in, but turns out he trafficked her and sent her off for sex, including to the rapist.
Zachary Brooks.
And here's what gets me too. They've said we're not going to put you in prison for this, which of course this is clearly a case of self-defense. But they put an ankle monitor on her because they told her as they were doing this, we don't want you to return to your previous lifestyle of being a human trafficking victim. It's sick,
and
the whole
here's what
system.
they knew. Here's what I swear to you, I used to be a prosecutor myself. If you look at the records of prosecutors, you look at who the prosecutor has the right to say, no, this is a non-prosecution. I'm not going to do this. The facts allow me to make that decision unless the judge comes in and says, by God, you're going to do it. You have the right to say, I'm going to null process, okay? They didn't do it, and I'm just guessing. I don't know them, but I've seen it before. If you look at their record for successful prosecutions, it's probably dismal. So they thought, oh, this is when I'm going to get a conviction. Here's where they've put this girl now, okay? It's not only that she has an ankle bracelet, it's the $150,000 that she has to pay to the family because according to these prosecutors, this is what the prosecutor said, well, she's failed to take responsibility for what she's done. The prosecutors said that. They said, well, oh, good God, she left the kids without a father. Good.
Daddy's a rapist.
Daddy's a rapist, and that should be, they should be celebrating that he's dead, not that that he left the kids without a father. But the ugly thing about it is I look at this, is everybody at every turn had the right to do the right thing, and they didn't do it. And now, anything she does, you understand, well, she's on probation for 5 years. Anything she does to violate that probation could send her to prison for 20 years.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the rest of the story that's not being told here.
And we see this happen a lot of times with the victims. They can't ever get the proper justice because the justice system in many cases looks at these women and say, well, you brought this on yourself.
Yeah.
And it's beyond sick is all I can say.
I've said it before. We have one of the most talented young female trial lawyers that I've worked with here at this law firm she was trafficked when she was 14 years old, escaped when she was 17. I wish these prosecutors and this judge could sit down and talk to her and understand what this young girl inevitably went through and then say, yeah, this is a good idea. We're going to pour, she didn't accept responsibility. Poor kids don't have a daddy who's, a rapist. If you really follow this to the end, this case is FUBAR. This case is total FUBAR. Farron, thanks for joining me, okay?
Thank you.
That's all for this week, but all of these segments are going to be available the coming week right here on this channel, and you can follow us on Twitter at America's Lawyer. I'm Mike Papantonio, and this has been America's Lawyer, where we tell you stories every week that corporate media just refuses to tell because their advertisers won't let them or their political connections are so strong that it doesn't allow for it. We'll see you next time.